Hi, this is Trey Pass. I want to talk about another TV show that I used to watch, like I said, growing up in the 70s. Of course, I'm talking about what was it in the 70s? Yeah, I think it was into the 70s, into the 80s. The Incredible Hulk. Of course, show starring Bill Bixby, the late, great Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno, Jack Colvin. And of course, it's based on a Marvel TV character. And of course, which is obviously based on kind of a Jekyll and Hyde story, and, about uh, Doctor on this TV show. His name was David Bruce Banner, who was a scientist who was trying to tap into hidden strengths that all humans have. And then he got the accidental overdose of gamma radiation, alters his body chemistry. And I love, like I said, that I think Ted Cassidy did the narration for that opening. Again, another great opening intro for a TV show, which is great. And basically, like I say, he got the overdose of gamma radiation. So then, whenever he got angry or outraged, he turned into the Hulk. And basically, the show was like The Fugitive. Basically, it was like The Fugitive. That's all. If you know what The Fugitive was, he was going around, like I said, going from place to place, and that's what happened with David. He was trying to find a cure, but he had to, he was presumed dead, so he had to go around anonymously with different names to, from city to city, trying to find a cure for himself, and helping people along the way, and of course changing two times in the episode because that's the TV. It's a TV rule. You have to change two times in the episode. Okay, that was a kind of a TV rule. And of course, it's usually, they say use any extreme emotion, like anger, fear, pain, and it's usually when he's getting his ass kicked. To be honest with you, it's always when he's getting his ass kicked, and he turns into the Hulk, and then he gets his revenge, which I always found hilarious. when after he changed and the bad guys were shocked that you see the Hulk there, and then he just reached in, and then he just he cleans their clock, and then runs away, and then David has to had a formula to it. Let's be honest. The Hulk had a formula. David go to a new town, and he'd either try to be an anonymous and stuff, but then somebody would either mess up. He'd either try to help or he'd try to get away, and then somebody grab him and beat him up anyway. And then he changes to the Hulk and get revenge. Then he'd come back, and then towards the end of the episode, he's either trying to do the right thing, and stuff, and then he gets caught or something, and then he has to change the Hulk again, save the day, and then usually. Hulk runs away. That he has to usually say goodbye to whoever the guest star in the episode is, and then they play that famous theme. I forgot the Lonely Man theme. That was it, the Lonely Man theme. And don't. I love that theme. That was another great ending theme with him walking away, on hitchhiking on the road and stuff. So it's a great episode. But anyway, I was going to talk about some of my favorite episodes of the Hulk. Okay, the TV show, which was again, I love Bill Bixby. Okay, who ironically, I know the first time the first time I saw Bixby, I think the Courtship of Eddie Father, Eddie Father was a TV show because that was originally a movie. I think with Glenn, what's his name? That Glenn, I forgot his name, the last name, but anyway, there was a movie with Glenn and Shirley Jones and a young Ron Howard about a widow father raising a young son and stuff. So there was actually a TV show. They decided to make it a successful movie, so they decided to make Glenn Ford. That was the movie, Glenn Ford and Shirley Jones and young Ron Howard. And so it was a successful movie, so they made it a TV show. So I think that's the first, and Bill Bixby was, father played the father and stuff. Okay, and I think it was on for a couple of seasons. But anyway, that's the first time I think I knew of Bill Bixby when so when they would show The Courtship of Eddie's Father. Okay, and that was another TV show that had a great theme to it. But anyway, and then eventually I found out that he was in some movies with Elvis and stuff and all that stuff. But then, of course, the Hulk came on, and like me being a big comic book fan, of course, I was excited to see the Hulk, and I used to love when he changed into the Hulk. Of course, the pants ripping and stuff. The eyes turn white, and and the ripping of the pants and all that stuff. And I just love the show. Just the special effects and Lou Ferrigno throwing stuff around, and just getting revenge for David and stuff. But anyway, some of my favorite episodes. Let me just talk about some of my favorite episodes. Okay, the first one of my favorite episodes there was one where he was I think it was, I forget what, some Midwest city he was in. Well, actually, he got mistaken for a bad guy, and then it turns out there was actually a bad guy, older. So Bill Bixby actually played two roles in this episode. He played an older criminal who was David's lookalike, actually. So, and so Bill Bixby got to play, another part instead of just playing David. He got to play a bad guy character and stuff. And then he literally almost got caught by by Mr. McGee, who was the reporter always on his neck trying to find out, who the Hulk was, and he almost got caught and stuff. But you got to see Bill Bixby do something different, which is good. Which shows a good actor he is. So that was what I think it was called Mirror. It was called either Mirror or something like that. Okay, and even at the end, I think after the Hulk, and I think one of the memorable parts of that was the second time he changed to the Hulk, where the bad guys who were after the Bill Bixby character that was the real gangster, they actually caught David thinking he was the the doppelganger, and they put him in cement. Actually put him in the ground in this plastic sheet, and they actually poured cement on him. You can see him, to bury him, and of course he changed, and I just love that, that sound they made when he changed. That I think was like a piano note, and go ding, and then you see him change, and with the eyes, and then he got his revenge and stuff. But that was again. So I think it was called Mirror, and then I think it was the 4th season. I think it was. It was like a 2-parter. It was called. I forgot what was it called. What was it called? But I forgot what it was called. But it was a 2-parter, and it was actually where David got exposed. He met this blind girl, and he actually got exposed to this meteorite. Okay, which actually, normally when he changed, he changed it to the Hulk, and then he changed back when he calms down. But this time, because of the effects of this meteor, he got caught halfway in between, which I thought was great. That was one of the great episodes, because you got to see, him stuck halfway between, the Hulk and David. Okay, and of course they did it with, with stuntmen and stuff, and close-ups with Bill Bixby and stuff, with the eyes and all that stuff. But I thought it was great because he actually got captured by this group of scientists and put into this underground thing, and Mr. McGee was actually there with him. So, and Mr. McGee was trying, this is who he has been looking for, but of course he couldn't tell that it was David Banner because he was stuck halfway in between and stuff. And I thought it was just some of the great episodes because you got to see really good acting from Bill Bixby, where he was just like traumatized that he was stuck, halfway between the Hulk and David Banner. So I thought that was some of the great. And then the actress who played the blind girl in there, she was also in another episode earlier where she was like a crippled girl that was getting poisoned by her relatives. Okay, and she played like a crippled girl in there, but I forgot her name. Laurie, I forgot her name, but anyway. But the 2-parter with him stuck halfway in between was really great. And like I said, he got captured. I remember at the end of the first episode, he got, the military came and they like captured him and the girl and stuff, and they took him to this underground military base and stuff. And then eventually, he gets the effects of the meteorite wore out, and then he got to change. The last time he changed, he got to change back to David. So he got to run away and live with him and go back on the run again. But again, it was a 2-parter, and then there was another good one where he was it was called The First. It was a 2-part episode where David, I think he was in the South somewhere, and he meets this older guy who actually, he actually found out there was a Hulk before him. Okay, this older guy was actually, there was a Hulk before him. Okay, and I guess he finds that there was a scientist that was doing experiments, and he worked on this guy, that handyman. I guess he experimented on him, and the guy eventually got cured. So David was interested in trying to find out all he can so he could maybe cure himself. Okay, but what it turns out to be, the guy actually, he got, I think, right. I'm trying to remember how it happened. How. I guess he showed him the lab and all that stuff, and I think he turned the stuff on himself, and so he got the power back, and he changed into the Hulk again. And ironically, the actor who played I think Dick Durek, I think that's his name. The guy who played Swamp Thing on the TV show. He was playing the original this Hulk character, and this guy was like skinny and tall, I guess, uh, and then of course David was trying to stop this guy from rampaging and try to cure him, and but this guy, he wasn't having it. He wanted the power. He liked the power and stuff, and he was actually killing people, and David had to try to stop him. And I remember one of my favorite parts of that episode was when David had the cure, like I guess they had like a vial thing that you could take, and while David was trying to give it to him, the guy got mad, and of course he changed into this original Hulk character, and he threw David around, and he picked up the cure thing, and David was telling him, no, don't, no, and then he picked it up and smashed it, and of course that made David, David started crying because, and I thought this is some of the best acting you ever seen, Bill Bixby. He started crying and saying that no, started crying, no, started crying. Then you see him, change into a Hulk, and I thought it was just some of the best acting ever, because you see just the raw emotion. Because first you see him when the guy throws the vial at him and it smashes, and then you see his eyes change, but you don't hear usually you hear the theme and then you see his eyes, but this time you saw his eyes and then you hear the theme, and then you start crying and screaming, no, no, and then you see him change, and then of course they have the big, the Hulk is confused because David changed, he changed this time because he was extremely frustrated and not angry so much, but just sad that extreme emotion, because this is cure that the cure so he can be a normal person was right within his grasp, but this guy smashed it, so he got emotional and started crying, and I thought that was some of the best acting Bill Bixby ever did. And then he just changed to the Hulk, and then the Hulk was confused because Hulk usually is raging, but he was just and then of course this creature started attacking them, and they have a fight, a nice little throwdown there and stuff, and then eventually the original Hulk character gets killed and David gets to run off. Okay, so again, another great episode. And then there was another one where David he was trying to experiment on himself to try to see if he could control the Hulk, and he took this solution, but it actually made him more aggressive as the Hulk, and made David more, kind of made him more of an aggressive character. Normally he's like laid back, but it actually made him and the Hulk character more evil. Okay, which was great to see, because you get to see Bill Bixby play like a real asshole, a real asshole, because he was like, I think he was staying with this couple that had a young daughter who wanted to run away, and she had a kind of a crush on David, and then once David took the solution that made him more aggressive, he started, he's going to run away with her and stuff, and then of course, he gets into a car accident, and he changes to the Hulk again, but this time it wears down, the anger, eventually the thing wears away, so he actually, and then there was another great episode I love where he was working, I think was he like a handyman at this college? I think he was working like a handyman at this college, and there was and you have a young Gerald McCraney in this episode. I remember him in this episode. He was like a cop in this, but in this small college town, there was this guy, masked killer, going around. He was killing these young college co-eds, and everybody in town was frightened and scared. And there was this David was this older teacher that was teaching the girls self-defense and all that stuff. Her and David were kind of a thing, and then there's this young college student. She had a kind of a crush on David, and and David was used to keep polite and tell her, I remember they were walking home. I remember, and and I think she gave him a kiss, and then he kind of told her, listen, I'm with the older lady, so kind of backed off, and she went to her car to drive off, and then David kind of went his way, and then the serial killer was in the back seat of the car, and he started attacking her. And then David ran and tried to stop her, stop the guy, and then David, of course, changed to the Hulk and chased the guy off. And then the girl who actually survived this, but she was, she kept repeating the name David David. So they thought, of course, David is the guy that's the serial killer killing all these women because he was a new guy in town, obviously. But obviously it wasn't him. But you know, the girl was sedated, and that was the last thing she said was David. So they thought, okay, it's David. So they arrest him because, like I said, he has fake ID like he usually has. So and he has no, they don't know who he really is. So they think, okay, he is the guy. And then it turns out that Gerald McCraney, who plays the cop, is actually the serial killer. He's the one actually doing it. And I remember David kind of figures it out when he's he's talking to David and he's saying that these women got to pay and all this. And so David knows that he's the guy, and the guy just walks out because he really wanted that older lady that was teaching the defense courses that was dating David. He really wanted her more than any other girl, because I think he even asked her out earlier in the episode, but she was telling him, no, listen, I think she kind of turned him down, but he really he was really fixated on her, and of course he kind of walks out, and then this mob, comes to the jail, and basically they want to string David up, and he just walks past them, and they just bum rush the jail and grab David out, and they not grab David out, they attack him, and then you see him, they attack him in that little cell, push him against the wall, and then of course, since that makes David angry, he changes to the Hulk, and just, you see in 1 minute he's David, and 1 minute he's the Hulk, and he just knocks them all back, and it's just a great moment. and then he goes and actually saves the woman, breaks out of the jail and goes and saves the woman from getting attacked. The older woman, he saves her from getting attacked, and they find out, this is the police chief that's actually the serial killer, and that kind of goes off, and of course David goes away, and they, all the older lady and the young college student who was sedated on purpose so she couldn't really tell who attacked her. They're wondering where David is, but she said they can't blame him because this town turned against him and stuff. So and then you see David go off, which is kind of the way most shows end with him just going after he does his 2 rescues and then he goes off. Okay, so that was good. And I'm trying to think what else, because there's a lot of good episodes. Oh yeah, there was the one where he got married. I think that was season 2, I believe, where he got married to Mariette Hartley, the actress. On the show, that's the actress who played the part. She was like a psychiatrist. I think she was a psychiatrist, and she was trying to help him, tap into his. He was trying to find a way to, I think, control the creature. I guess he was trying to find a way to control. And he had met her, and they fell in love, and they got married. But she had I think she had like a brain tumor or something that would cause her pain and stuff. And what was great about this, when she was hypnotizing him, trying to, get him to control the creature and all that stuff, and he flipped. He was having flashbacks to when his first wife died and how he couldn't save her out of the car and stuff, and then he just changed into the Hulk right away. And I loved it because he was saying, I couldn't get her out of the car. I couldn't get her out. I couldn't get her out. And then you see him stand up and he changed into the Hulk. That was one of the cooler moments when he changed into the Hulk, because that theme song, that piano chord, and then the voice changed in his eyes, and then you see him change into the Hulk. That's just one of those great moments. And then eventually, of course, she still gets those headaches, and oh yeah, there was another part of that episode where he's in bed and he's having another nightmare about his current wife, that she's getting on the bus and he can't save her, and he's running after her, and he can't. And then he literally starts changing in the middle of the night, and she's in bed with him. You see him, his eyes just pop open, and then he starts changing right in the bed, right there, which is another freaky moment. And then towards the end, where she again runs out in the middle of a storm because her head, the tumor in her head is just driving her, the pain is driving her crazy, and David chases after her in the middle of a hurricane, and of course he changes to the Hulk, and then of course she dies in his arms, and it was just real sad because that was just like his second wife, and she died on him too, and that was again another sad moment with the Hulk. Again moments just get you. And I'm trying to think what else. There was a lot of good episodes for the Hulk. I'm trying to think what else episode that I loved. Oh yeah, there was the one where he went home. We actually went home because he went, and we found out a little bit his backstory, that he grew up on a farm with his mother father and his older sister, and he left. He had an angry relationship with his father, and he blamed his father for his mother dying. Apparently, she was sick, and the father didn't call the doctor back in time, and he blamed his father for that. So he left home when he was 17, and he hadn't been home in all these years, and then he actually goes home and he runs into his sister, okay, and then you actually see him, he's while he's home, he's having a nightmare about his childhood, about his mom dying and all that stuff, and then he changes, and that's when his sister finds out, his sister and his father find out that he's the Hulk, okay, and then eventually he reconciles with his father and stuff, but he of course and his sister, and he has to go back on the run. So we got to see a little bit of his backstory, which I think was good to see. The family that he grew up in. At least his family knew that he was alive. Okay. And I'm trying to think what else. Oh yeah, no, what's that thing? I think again, just a lot of my favorites always, like I said, seeing him change, and that was just the best part of the show for me. To seeing him change, getting angry, whatever made him mad, made him angry, or made him angry, and he just changed. And I loved it. To me, I just love those transformations. Those were the show for me. Seeing him change from David into the Hulk, those are great. And then of course, always see. Oh yeah, this will be the last part because the video is getting too long. One of my favorite early episodes of the Hulk was when he's working in the school, and he noticed this young kid named Mark. I think the kid's name was Mark, and he discovered this kid was getting beat by his father. This kid was actually getting abused by his father, and I remember David suspected it. And I think he even reported it, but they said they couldn't do anything about it and stuff. But I think, and David actually was like walking him home or something. And they kind of shut the door on him, and then David knew that the father was going to whip his ass. So David was trying to get the other neighbors to help, and everybody was closing them. It's like back then everybody kept to mind their own business, right? And he was trying to get people to to help him, save this kid from getting his ass whipped, and nobody would listen. He was knocking on their doors, nobody would listen. And then David could hear the noise, and he couldn't get in. And of course he got frustrated, and then he of course changed to the Hulk and and bust in the house and grabbed the kid and tossed the father around and grabbed the kid and walked off with him. And then you see him changing. They're walking in the alley. You see him changing back from the Hulk to David, and that's so this kid knows that he's the Hulk, and the kid. It was a really good episode because the kid, I think the kid even says, "I wish I could do what that he could change like that to protect himself from his father, abusing him." Okay, and then I think the second time when he changed it, I think David was in a gym. He reported it that he was in the gym with the young boy, and then the father came in and started tossing David around, and the young kid ran to get some help. And of course, the father didn't know this is all. He just think this dude's getting in my business, so I'm gonna whip his ass. And then you see him toss David around, and he throws David through these two doors. And then of course he changes the Hulk, and then all you see is the Hulk come back out and smash the doors. And he basically slaps the father around and stuff. And then we found out that the father was abused by his father. But it was one of the better episodes of the Hulk. About child abuse, which I thought was really good. That was a really well done episode about child abuse. And okay, let me think. One more episode. I'll fit this in before I end this video because this video is getting too long. When they actually had Lou Ferrigno act in this, where David was working at this gym, and they had a bodybuilding contest, and actually you got to see Lou Ferrigno act. Okay, and then you got to see him play the Hulk and a regular character in this, so you got to see. Yeah, that was good. So anyway, let me know what you think. I'll be right back. Oh, I'm coming. So anyway, that's some of my favorite memories of the Hulk, the TV show. Let me know what some of yours are. Feel free to leave comments down below. I have links to my social media in the description box: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I also have a link to my other channel, More Views and Opinions. So you check that out as well. And this is Trey Pass. Just saying so long. Take care.